we go. Welcome everybody to Evolution 2018. Here we go. My name is Paul and I have the honour of being with you for 45 minutes. Some of this content is very dry, basic statistics, stuff you'll be sitting there going, why are we bothering going through all this? I promise you I'll bring it all together so it makes absolute sense. Is that okay? Right, firstly, thank you to everyone who said, hey Paul, how you doing? How's Jackie and Ben? No one gives a damn how I am or why my throat is so croaky. How's your beautiful wife and your amazing little boy Ben? So, here they are right now. My son and my, click that. There you go, my son and my wife, they're back in Australia right now. We just put in a little golf links out the front of the house. That's because we got sick of mowing the lawn all the time. But they are very well, thank you very much. You might remember that they were with me here about 3 years ago when Energy supported our 50 sports in 50 weeks mission around the world. Our love of sports continues. Our passion for helping people get active has not waned whatsoever. I, on the other hand, unfortunately don't get to hang around them as much as I like because my work continues around the world. And that's why Energy asked me to come in today to share with you what we've been seeing out there and how that relates back to the Energy group. But before I start, I did promise Jackie and Ben that I would get a selfie. So, without further ado, can everyone give me a big smile? I'm not kidding. I promised them I'd do this. Big smile. Everybody, come on. Thank you very much. Okay, that'll keep them happy. Good. That's done. So, as Peter very kindly said, we're kind of out there a bit, but one thing I can bring to you today is a little bit of a look outside of your own backyard, a little bit of an update on what's going on out there. And I'm going to share with you some statistics, again, that initially may not seem like they affect you, but I'll bring it back in a way that does. So where have I been? This is my last 6 weeks. My last 6 weeks started off back in my home in Australia and New Zealand. Then heading up to Asia, we had the Asia Fitness Conference, which was in Bangkok, and had the opportunity to do a lot of talks to club operators in that region and mystery shop several clubs to get a feel for what was going on in that region. Then earlier on in the year, we're down in the southern end of Asia, down in Singapore, Active Fit Conference there, checking out what's happening in that region. A lot of exciting stuff going on. Where else have we been? Chile. I was in Chile about 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago. You'd be amazed how vibrant the club industry is in Chile. They build beautiful clubs, they operate them very, very well. I'll tell you a little bit more about that market later. And then Brazil. Brazil is probably the most exciting, progressive market in the world. It has the growth that you would not believe right now. And I know Energy are growing clubs at a very rapid pace. It's that and then some, and I'll show you some scary statistics on that as well. Latin America, as you can imagine, is a very vibrant, very passionate part of the world, and we turn that passion into great energy in our workouts. Up in the United States, I literally flew directly to here from the US. I was there for about 10 days, as always, visiting clubs, talking to club owners, speaking at conferences. What this allows me to do is to ask lots of great questions, and I'm constantly thinking about their answers and how they relate to my work, places like here in the UK with the Energy group. So it's all really interesting. And now here we are, of course, in the UK. So really that's where you guys are mostly focused. Is there anyone here from outside the UK? I know that Energy is starting to reach out into other markets. Anyone here from Poland, for example? Hello and welcome. Anyone here from Latvia? Hello and welcome. Am I still allowed to ask if Ireland's in the UK? I'm not sure. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on. But for all of you that have travelled to be here, as I have, I want to say thank you very much. As you travel, you would be aware there are some significant differences in club markets around the world. But you'll see things that you go, that's really cool, and that might just work in my own backyard. And that's really what I see my role as. I get the opportunity to visit these locations, but at the same time, I'm basically a sponge, looking for what the best ideas are and asking myself, how can that apply to our best practices? So, there's a lot to talk about today, but you want to know, how does this relate to you? What does this all mean to you as a club owner or a franchisor? Who are the franchisees? Where are our club owners and franchisees? Lots of them in the room, welcome. And the managers that work for the franchisees and obviously have a very strong ownership mentality. Awesome, very good. And then there are many people in the room who work in those clubs delivering the experiences that we promote as the Energy way of life. Where are they? Let me see those. Or fitness trainers, personal trainers, our group instructors. Fantastic. Have I missed anybody? The administration, the back office, the people who run head offices. There's a lot of us out there working hard to make the Energy brand work. So let me take you on a quick global tour, and I will do, as Mark Hogan said in his previous presentation, I will kill you with PowerPoint just for a moment. Bullet, 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 don't shoot me. Some of these statistics will come to sense in a little while. Is that okay? Fantastic. So, firstly, quick global summary. Latin America. Did you know there are 220 million Brazilians? 220, and every single one of them loves to move. I can tell you that now. The one thing about Latin America, they are a very energetic group. Now, in those 220 million, in 2002 when I first went there were less than 1,000 clubs. Now there are over 35,000 gyms. Can you imagine that growing by 34,000 in the space of a 16-year period? That's an incredible amount of growth. What else can I tell you about Latin America? They have so far signed up 11 million people into their clubs. Now that's only a 5% penetration, and as you'll see later, much lower than other markets, but that's partly because of it's an emerging market and there's not a lot of people in Brazil that can afford the luxury of going to a health club. And so there definitely is a divide there. What else can I tell you? Half the population is overweight. You didn't know that, did you? Even though every one of them loves to move, they are being influenced by the same fast foods and convenience food options that you are. They are working long hours in offices and they are doing a lot less movement than they used to. And it's starting to show. This is a great example of inactivity in the population starting to have a negative adverse effect, and it's in the young, the next generation. They're the ones growing up. So we have a lot of work to do in that region. 1 in 5 are obese. Again, you wouldn't think that. You think it's all Rio de Janeiro and bikinis on the beach. That's fun, that's great, but the reality is everywhere we go in the world where there is convenience foods, everywhere in the world we go where there are seats with backs on them, we're finding this problem is consistent. So a couple more things. Brazil and Chile, I mostly work with 3 groups there. The O2 Fit group, the BO Ritmo Academies and Smart Fit. And you're thinking, yeah, big deal, so what? They have nearly 2 million members. So you think of the problems you face on a daily basis with the number of members you have. Scale that up to almost 2 million members in one continent. Every single day, the head office team are faced with the same challenges your head office team are faced with. And that's the wonderful thing about getting the opportunity to travel and work with multiple organisations that face the same challenges you face, but have a whole different set of heads working on problems. What you come up with are some amazing solutions. I'll give you a little insight into some of the innovations that they've come up with, and you can draw some parallels on what that means to the energy group and where they're going. Now, so what's hot in Brazil and Chile? The main things that are hot, I'm very proud to say, our program, face-to-face, which is just like your Empower program, is the core of their service offering. And we put lots of people through the program every single day. And when you walk on the gym floor, you'd think you're in one of your energy clubs that's running Empower, because you'll see the exact same processes in place. And that makes me feel really good. From the other side of the equation, get out of the gym for a moment, their studio programs are very, very strong. So this is a typical gym floor. It doesn't look any different to any gym you'd see anywhere. There's a little functional training program in the corner. You know, you've got your classic weights. That's just one shot of a large gym, one of our BO Ritmo clubs. And then they have their studios. This is a burn zone. So burn zone, you've got people just like in a typical class, all on their different stations, rotating through. That one was predominantly a fat burning program. This one's called the skill mill, and then this one here, that is a race class. And race is treadmills and boxes. And in fact, those boxes there right now, very similar to the ones I saw in the foyer that Jordan provided. Beautiful, very versatile pieces of kit. And we're always on the lookout for what new kit out there and how we can employ that into our models. So that's the Latin American market, real quickly. The US market, as of November 1, and I've got the exact number, I want to know how many Americans are there really. As of November 1, there are 327,533 and 385. That's as of that particular slide. I think it's already gone up. There might be a whole caravan of people that have just adjusted that number somewhat. There's almost like 40,000 fitness centers in America. So remember, Latin America, 35,000 to service 210 million. United States, 330 million people, 40,000 clubs. Now, they have 66 million members being served by that. That's an average of only 1,650 per club. But of course, some of those are very small, some of those are quite large. So the key trends in the USA, thing we call the big box. Most big boxes in the United States are clubs that you would say are over the 10,000 foot mark, 15,000, 20,000, Some of the ones I've worked with were over 200,000 square foot in size. They call themselves, when you meet them, a full-service club. In the last 10 years, that title has been tested because they're not full service. They thought they were, and they're then shown up. All these little tiny clubs are popping up, and they don't offer any service whatsoever, but they're honest about it. And so they're simply saying, do you want to pay $120 down the road to be ignored, or do you want to pay $40 at our club to be ignored? It's a really easy sales pitch because it's the truth. These so-called full-service clubs are throwing their members in the deep end. The members are leaving it at an alarming rate, and they're being gobbled up by mosquitoes. These little pop-up clubs that are going everywhere. So the United States trend has been really painful for a lot of those big organisations, and of course, they've got a lot of money tied up in these clubs. Right, a couple more statistics for you. I'll quickly jump through. The studios are absolutely hot. I had the pleasure of visiting probably one of the best-known ones in the United States, Discover Strength. Now, very quickly, the Discover Strength model, see if you recognise some of these traits. High-intensity training. That means you go as hard as you can. There is no holding back. I watched beginners being taken to the point of no return, and they were very grateful for it. It's a 30-minute workout. It's twice a week. They tell every member, train twice a week in the gym. And the average footprint of the club with a one-to-one workout is 1,000 square feet. It's 100 metres. 100 metres. You could basically put one of their studios in this little back corner over here. In fact, I took a photo with the owner, Luke. Whoop. Oh, now we're gone fun. How'd that happen? Chris, I might need you to take me back if I can't get back. There we go. We seem to have had a little jump on there, guys. So, the studios are definitely hot, as I said. I took a photo with Luke, but that photo's not going to come up right now. No? That's interesting. That's not him. That was definitely not him. Anyway. So the studios are very hot, about 1,000 square foot. The reason studios are hot is because they're providing service. It's actually one-on-one. The members are paying much more than we ever imagined they would for fitness because they're finally getting looked after again. In James Patika's introduction this morning, he said that energy is creating a new niche. Budget service. You pay little, but you get a lot. It sounds hard to deliver, but when you're smart about the systems that you operate, it's actually not that hard at all. And you very quickly show up the big boys who claimed to be full service, but clearly are not. And that's where it all starts to really make sense. We look at what's going on around the world, we ask who's winning, who's losing, what are the assets that make them successful, and how do we not only replicate that, but internalise it in our own way? How do we make it green? How do we make it ours? And that's where we're heading. The casualty in all this, without doubt, has been the bodybuilding. Bodybuilding was where fitness began. The very first gym I joined, way back in the late 70s, early 80s, was a bodybuilding gym. And back then, to learn to train, you basically went and trained with someone who was already training. And it was almost always high volume training with the purpose of hypertrophy. And there's nothing wrong with bodybuilding, it's a great way to train, but what we're seeing in the marketplace, there are very few gyms these days catering for that market. In fact, you're either a really hardcore bodybuilding gym or you're not at all. So it's been interesting, we've actually come across a few new clubs being built that are deliberately aiming for the bodybuilding market because everyone else is trying to get rid of it. So it's fascinating. You might find here in the UK in the next few years, a few big box clubs open up near you that are deliberately and unashamedly hardcore clubs that absolutely go out of their way to bring back that bodybuilding vibe. And they will attract a strong market of people who are relatively independent, like to train that way, and it works for them. But the average Brit does not want to be there, just as we're seeing in these other markets. These cater for a small niche. Now there is some good news. There is a lot of repurposing going on out there. In fact, there's some programs to help the bodybuilding market, giving them life after bodybuilding. They're using the arts and a whole range of other methods. Here's an example, and we had a little sneak preview before. So I'm hoping this is going to get me there now. Here we go. So this is an example of how they're repurposing our bodybuilders these days and giving them new skills. Oh, bit of sound.
Why don't you go where passion sits?
Very good. Okay, that went down like a lead balloon. Fantastic. So, I've just come from Asia. Thailand, Singapore, that region there. I'm not going to tell you a lot about that market in the Thailand, Singapore, Japan area because there's nothing overly exciting happening there. It seems to be same old, same old. There's lots and lots of clubs that look about the same, that operate about the same. The main thing is that they're really taking on board the functional training process. What I want to do is take you up to China. I want to show you something fascinating about China. Check this out. Now you probably know China's got 1.4 billion people. Biggest country in the world. Now, they have 37,000 gyms. Remember, Brazil's got 35,000, but this is 1.4 billion people for 37,000 gyms. They only at the moment have 7 million members using those gyms. 7 million. It's an average of 189 members per gym. Now imagine building a club the size of this room and having 189 members on average. Everyone's talking about China as being the great new target. Interesting. They have the money to build whatever they want to build. They're brilliant at replicating what they see. But the thing is, there's no demand for fitness in that market yet. Let's have a look at the percentage. It's actually a 0.5% penetration. Now, you need to take this on board in a moment because what we're looking at here is a classic case of just because you build it doesn't mean they will come. If we have a look at what the rules of retention are, these are only going half the way. The facility is not the answer. So, they've got basically big, empty, beautiful boxes. Here's what you need if you're going to grow a membership. Yes, you want to have a nice facility. Yes, you need nice equipment. But it goes way beyond that. Number one, they have to want what you've got. People have to want the product that you're offering. In our case, we're selling fitness, but we're selling so much more than that. The second thing is, they have to understand it. It's one thing to say, there's a piece of kit. I've got to not only know how to use it, I've got to know why. I've got to want to use it. I've got to be inspired to use it. I've got to want to get out of bed in the morning on a rainy day. Jump out of bed and get to that club before I make my work schedule. Or I've got to make the time after my work and go in there when I'd much rather go and have a beer with the lads. Or my lunchtime. Instead of sitting down in the cafeteria taking a break, I'm in the club doing that 30-minute workout. That means I understand why I'm doing it. And when you look at the Chinese experience, that doesn't happen. Half of your challenge on a daily basis is to educate your community about why we exist. It's one thing to say we've got the latest and greatest. Building the latest and greatest doesn't guarantee success. Having people who want it and understand it. And then the third thing is helping them use it often enough so they can justify the price. You see, we can tell the community we're budget. But what does your club cost per month to be a member, sir? $26.99, that's way too much. $26.99. If I use it once a month, that's a very expensive workout, isn't it? But I'm actually in there 3 times a week, and you're way too cheap. You're way too cheap. 3 times a week. That's less than £1 a day. I'm in there 3 days a week. You are way too cheap. You see, the perception of value doesn't come down to the price. It comes down to what I get back in return. And that can almost be equated always to usage. The client who uses your club twice a week as a non-negotiable minimum all year round will never, ever, ever complain about the price regardless of that price. But if you allow them to buy and not understand and not fully experience, they will start to think you're expensive at any cost. And so this whole budget fight that we're seeing out there is a bottomless pit for those who don't get this. They've got to want it. They've got to understand it. And they've got to use it often enough so it doesn't matter what the price. The fourth rule, of course, is going to work. It has to work. It has to give them results. We sell results every single day, and you've heard me go on about this again and again and again. But as I travel the world and speak at all these conferences, I've spoken at 7 in the last 5 weeks, in the United States, in Asia, all over the world, and I ask the question every single time. I get everybody in the room to stand up, and we won't do it right now. But I get everyone in the room to stand up and I say, now, did everyone in the room sign up members in January this year? And they'll smile, yeah, January was great. Big bunch of members, fantastic. Did you by any chance promise you were going to help them achieve their health and fitness dreams? Of course we did. New Year's resolutions, lose weight, get fit, maybe quit smoking. By all means. Keep standing, I asked the room, keep standing If you did any kind of benchmarking, physical fitness test, whether it was a body track system, whether it was a tape measure, did you do a VO2 sub-max, did you do the tape measurements on their arms, keep standing in the room if you did some type of measurements for most of your clients. And most of the room usually stays standing with a big smile on their face like they got that one right too. And they say, great, now let's fast forward to May. Keep standing. If by May, those members have had those results checked again. Yeah, and the room goes very quiet. Just about everybody sits down and they start to ask themselves the question, what business are we really in? If we sell a dream, if we sell, here's who you are now, here's who you want to be, we are going to get you there. If that's what you sell, which is a very compelling pitch, by the way, you better bloody deliver. You better have a plan to get them all the way through. China built the best clubs in the world and they're empty because they don't know how to do that yet. I'm not going to show them how because they're not very good at rewarding education. They like to learn and replicate themselves. That's part of the culture. I get that. I just don't want to play in that space. We've learned a lot. We've got a team at head office every single day at Energy Central asking the question, what's the best way to give people an experience from where they are now to where they want to be? How are we going to get them there? And let's give our franchisees, let's give our partners, let's give our team a strategic plan so they can look people in the eye in January with confidence and say, you've come to the right place. As I travel around the world and I look at all these statistics, I ask the number one question, does it work? And most of the time they can't give me an answer. That doesn't trouble you? It should. The fifth and final thing for growing a membership, they've got to prefer to get it with you. And that means not only did you help them transform their lives, but you create an environment and experience that they want to keep coming back for. One that they say, I don't want to miss this just because of you gym up across the road. If another one opens their doors, they're going to go, there's also 50 restaurants in town, but I've got my favourite. There's 10 dry cleaners in town, but there's only one I trust with my suits. There's lots of interior designers, but that's the lady who made the space we love to live in. They've got to prefer to do business with you more than any other. Right, let me quickly take you back to Australia, my home country, tell you about that marketplace. I've been very patient as we could. We have 24 million Aussies, 3,400 fitness facilities, 4.2 members, an average of 1.235 per site, 17.4% market penetration. My key partners there are a group that Energy have come to know very well called Belgravia. There's two interesting things that they do. Again, face-to-face across all their clubs, it's demanded that every member who buys a membership at their big clubs is offered the program. We get about an 84% sign-up rate. And they've got this great program called Coaching Zone. And you might look at that and go, oh, that looks a bit similar. Functional training is popular all over the world right now. And the small group environment really works because people get that coaching experience using the motivation, and ideally they get a little bit of feedback either from the trainers and or their MyZone system or whatever system of tracking that they've got available. It's really hot right now, but it is only impacting a relatively small percentage of the membership. Now, there are some people who can't make it to the classes and they still need to be able to train independently. So we are encouraging our clubs in all the key markets to have a great group experience and also create independence on their main gym floor. So clients are able to get a bit of both. When I can't make it to the classes, I know exactly why and how to use the main gym floor. Take advantage of the Previous system on the pre-core equipment. Use those dumbbells, use that TRX strap, get those kettlebells out. You know this, but how many of our members fail to make that transition because they didn't understand we have a journey that's available for them? So a couple of quick statistics, just to give you an idea. I'm going to show you one fascinating statistic shortly. In the last 12 months, we basically put 80,000 people through appointments at this group. So there's a very high volume of people taking advantage of the program. And I wanted to share that with you because I'm about to show you some amazing statistics that have mimicked what we've seen here with the Energy Group in Australia. When people get the right experience, they stay. We're able to measure this, we're able to quantify it. You might struggle sometimes saying, how do I know people are really enjoying that bike class? How do I know people are really making the most of the yard? How do I know people are really going back and asking those trainers for advice? The one thing we can measure And with the energy group, it's the Empower program. With this group, it's face-to-face. The one thing we can measure is if we see them 5 times in 6 weeks, we can measure what the outcome of that is. That's the only thing these graphs will tell you. The people in the green saw us 5 times in around 6 weeks. The people in the orange did some of that, but not all. The people in the red said, I don't need it. A bit like those bodybuilding gyms where they said, I know what I'm doing. Leave me alone. You don't need to worry about me. I'll be fine. When you've got a member in your club who says, don't worry about me, you go look after someone else, you should be worried. Let's have a look at this. These are the retention statistics. This is one of the clubs. This is their biggest club in Australia. Now this is over 16th of October to 1st of February. So that's 2016 to 2018. So that's a 14, 15 month period. There's the difference in retention of members over that period. The green saw us 5 times in 6 weeks. 80% of them were still using the club and financial members. The ones who had a little bit of help but not as much, 73.8. And the ones who said, don't worry about me, I'll be fine, 72%. Let's have a look at the next club, 82, 69, 52. I could do this for 28 clubs in a row. We have similar statistics coming out of the Empower program here through the Elan software impact report. Only reason why I want to show you this is because we actually dug even deeper. I wanted to know, when do people quit? And I bet you right now, if I said to you, when are your members dropping out? The ones who you're offering the great experience, when do they actually leave? This is fascinating. We took a study of all the members who joined up in April last year. All the members who joined up in April last year. And we tracked them to see what percentage of them quit after 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5, all the way to 10 months. And we broke them down into those 3 different categories. The greyed out area is my utopia. In a perfect world, I get asked, Mr. Retention, what is the ideal retention in a club? And I say, well, you know what? If you can keep 97% of your members over any 30-day period, you're doing pretty good. So if you can keep your attrition rate below 3% in any month, you're doing pretty good. Well, I'm happy to tell you when we tracked the people who did those 5 appointments in that 6-week period, what we call our face-to-face journey, what you call Empower, this was the attrition of those people. In the first month, 0.2% decided to leave. These are no contract members, by the way. It took us 5 months before we got to the 3% mark. So you can see that's a pretty impressive line. Let's compare that to the people we didn't get to see regularly. That is their cancellation trend. Now let's compare that to the people who said, don't worry about me, Guido and I, my cousin, we're going to train together, I'll be fine. Don't worry about me, I've trained before. Don't worry about me, I've joined a gym before. Don't worry about me, I know what I'm doing. Here's what happens to people you don't have a relationship with. That's their attrition line. Now this isn't over a few hundred people, this is thousands of members who joined the gym and were promised what we promise here in England every single day. Where are you now? Where do you want to be? Join and we can make a difference. The redliners chose not to ask for help. The redliners chose not to get to know us. The redliners never got to set goals and see them come true. Your gyms are full of redliners just waiting to leave. And I see this in every market I go to. So let's bring it back to the UK. There are 66 million Brits. 66 million. 7,000 facilities. Clicking. 10 million members. 1,500 members on average. Most energy fitness clubs have way more than that, you know that. Maybe not all of them, but most of them do. Now, we've got 15% of Brits currently as a gym member. Let's take out the kids, let's take out the really, really elderly, let's take out the people who have no financial resources whatsoever. There's a bunch of people out there right now who don't have a gym membership card in their pocket, and that is your target market. Forget the people who say, I already know what I'm doing. They're in a gym already, and they will quit when they decide there's a better gym to train at, or it's getting too cold to get out of their houses, or too hot to go indoors. They're fickle. The market we can and should be aiming for, without doubt, are the ones who wish they could be just like you, but don't think they can. They don't believe they belong. Energy's catchphrase. We're telling all of Britain We're telling all of Latvia, we're telling all of Poland, and everywhere else this company chooses to go, we're making one statement. This is where you belong. And there's a massive market out there who don't believe that right now. And the only reason they don't is because, as a rule, the fitness industry makes these hollow promises and doesn't follow through. They're the redliners. The ones we sold ourselves to, but then believed them when they sold us the lie that they'd be okay without us. I don't care whether you've got a biceps to die for. I don't care whether you've got a six-pack. Everybody wants something and everyone's afraid of something. And we have built a club that will just about satisfy everybody's needs. We just got to make sure they take full advantage of it. So, you know this, the budget club sector is very, very crowded. Energy is moving away from that sector and creating its own niche. We're not budget, we're not big box, we're more than full service. We are the experience. We are the journey. We are the place when you walk through the door, you just feel it. The energy, as the name suggests, permeates through us. Right, so this is what's hot. This, right here, right now. I've travelled the world, I've looked at every market, I've looked at every brand out there. I can stand on this stage right now and give my massive thumbs up to what every one of you have built, created, and say you are on a winner. You are absolutely on a winner. The gyms you're building now, the layout, the design, the colours, the look is world class. I can tell you that the classes you're offering, whether they're in a closed-in studio or like here, this is our Milton Keynes Club. I was there 2 nights ago. I was waiting to do a workout with the owner, Rob. He and I were going to do a Power 6 together, but he has to finish teaching his bike class first. And they've got the My Zone belts on, and he's got everyone working on their zones. That's the type of ownership mentality every single one of us must have. Whether our name is on the franchise agreement or not, whether you've been hired or whether you bought in to be here. It's the passion. They will follow us as long as we lead by example. The Yard is a fantastic innovation. I'm getting hot now talking about all this. The Yard, beautiful layout, fun design. I was there when it was first being developed. I was there for the first launch program and loving it. Members getting great engagement, members getting a great experience and getting great feedback and results. And of course, what else does Energy do that the others say they have, so often don't? We just have people. We have staff. We have our hosts and concierge. I have worked out in other gyms in this market. I have gone into these 24-hour clubs. I've gone into your major competitors. And I have struggled to find anybody to offer me any assistance whatsoever. They would have no idea of my capabilities of training, no idea what my medical history is. Basically, it's just self-help. And self-help, quite frankly, is no help. We offer something different. And of course, we have the Empower program, something I'm very, very dear to. Something that makes us unique. So all these things add up to this, the new look Energy Fitness. So all those statistics, what do they mean to you? It means you should understand that the reason you're in a franchise, the reason you pay your money to be part of this group is because you don't have to hire a whole research and development team. You don't have to be like me on the road, missing time with your family, looking at what's happening in other parts of the world. There are people who do that on a daily basis on your behalf. There are people who lie awake at night asking, what is the next big thing? There are people doing their homework and studies, dismissing trends and fads, and working out what will actually work, what will actually last. The question is, will you trust it? Will you implement it? And will you hold your people accountable? Because in the absence of that, we're back to the lie. In the absence of that, we're back to the promise that never gets fulfilled. Fitness isn't a promise. Fitness is a way of life. We live it, but we can't just talk about it. We have to make that permeate through our people. So the implications to you. Your enemy is now your prey. The people who you used to curse as your competition are now the ones you are going to cannibalise. You are going to be stealing members from clubs that stole them from you. Some of you have been in your towns for a long time, and some a-hole come and opened up just around the corner. I've been through that. I know exactly how that feels. You've heard my story. I had a club just a stone's throw away. I could open up from it. Yes, sir, it was just a stone's throw away. I can tell you with that with absolute certainty. I gobbled them up. You're about to do the same. Go back from this conference today with the absolute confidence that you have got the biggest gun in the fight. go back with the absolute confidence that you have got the winning secret formula. The one the other ones are going to look at with jealousy. And they are going to be the ones shaking in their knees. Your enemy is your prey. Believe that and it will be true. What else can I tell you? You've got to make full use of all the tools at your disposal. The yarn is not commonplace, it is unique, it is fantastic, and it is just energy. The classes that you offer, the Preva, the body tracks, the My Zone, the host and take the stage training. Lauren, where are you? Outstanding job, by the way. Yes. So, lots of things going on. Empower. I know we don't have it across the whole group yet, but it's coming. And you should embrace it. You should know that the biggest groups in the world, the fastest groups in the world, are growing because of that green line. They're growing because of the green line. The green line is the people we learn to build a relationship with. One member at a time, making them feel like they belong. Right. So, I need to wrap this up. I want to put it into an example. Let's put it all together. I want to tell you a little bit of a story about a typical member. In fact, you don't even know her yet because she joined online. She did what so many people are doing these days all around the world. They're so nervous and scared about going to a gym, they're buying online. They're Googling for answers, finding a page that looks appealing, and hitting a button in the hope that that's going to make their dreams come true. And this young lady has dreams. She's overweight, she's lonely, she just works and comes home, she lives with her parents, and her life is basically day by day wishing for more but not knowing how to go where. I don't know how or why, but she came across your landing page. She saw an offer and she clicked join. Has that solved her problems? No, it's only just begun. It's only just begun because now she's got to find the courage to come in. And what's going to happen then? What happens at that moment as she walks through the doors? She'll see the beautiful big signs, and that's great. That's all candy. That's all honey. But what's going to happen next? That will make or break whether she's a green line, orange, or red. The good news is she's come to an energy club. So as she walks through the door, things aren't quite so scary after all. Take it down a bit, please, Chris. Thank you. Up a bit. Good. So she's got a membership. That doesn't get her started. But thankfully, she comes through the door, she meets one of our hosts. The host instantly recognises this face, this new face. Big baggy t-shirt, slouched shoulders. Body language says, I'm not sure. The host welcomes her. Finds out that she's joined up online and so goes straight into the spiel about, fantastic, great to have you on board, let's just give you a little familiarisation with the club. They have a bit of a chat about her goals and dreams. Find out that she's only bought the basic membership, because that's what you do, right? You buy the cheapest thing you can. But then we explain there's a better way. We actually have a full journey to make her life better. Reciprocal access to other clubs. She joins, she's now empowered. This is her going through her first consultation. She's talking to the trainer about those goals and getting a few measurements done. She's nervous, but the trainer reassures her. Tells her we're going to design her a program, teach her which classes are right for her, and show her how to do that training on the gym floor. Together they design a map for the next 30 days and write out a program. This is her going through the program. Softly first, slowly, a little scared, a little nervous. Basic exercises to start with, the weights aren't too heavy, but we teach a good technique and we build her confidence. She's not quite so insecure now. She's coming back and doing training, trying a couple of workouts, and then it's workout boost time. Program's getting a little more interesting. Exercise technique improving a little bit. Starting to train more often. Trying a class. Start at the back of the room at the beginning, but then moving away forward slowly. Now it's time for her eating habits consultation. She doesn't need a diet, just a few simple tips to get her eating better. She's starting to live life a little more healthier, buying better foods at the supermarket, making wiser choices at the restaurant. Her friends are beginning to notice. They say, you look great, and she feels a lot better. It's time for her results review. She comes back into the trainers that started off at the beginning. They re-measure her. They check her weight. She's lost an inch off her waist. She's losing a little off her thighs. But the best thing about energy isn't how great she looks, it's how great she feels. She feels fantastic. Her energy levels are through the roof. Her confidence and self-esteem have improved. Even her body image. She's not a size 6, but she doesn't care anymore because she's learned how to live life on her terms. She's found a place where she belongs. She's now doing the classes regularly. In fact, she shows up for a yarn class. Gets a My Zone belt. Not my microphone, Chris, the music. Gets a My Zone belt. She's in the class training at full speed. She even brought a friend along. She's showing her friend how to do the yarn class with her. Together they're high-fiving, they're doing the kettlebells, they're hitting the punching bag. This is the girl who was too scared to leave her house 6 weeks ago. And now she is with you. She feels so good, she jumps on top of that stage. And air guitars. Are you ready, everybody? Come on! Oh, don't worry about it. This is the difference we make. This girl did not want to come. Now she doesn't want to leave. She's getting program updates regularly. Never the same workout twice because she's learned how to progress, how to keep it going, and how to try a new thing. The best thing is at the office. The best thing is at her home where everyone says, you're not the same. We see the difference. You can see a different person. And she is. Now it's the Christmas party. It's December. Everyone's arriving in fancy dress. The girl with the baggy t-shirt shows up. She's not wearing a baggy t-shirt. She's dressed as a genie. A fucking genie! Can you believe that? She walks through the door with her boyfriend. Takes one look at you and starts towards you. You're real confused because there are tears streaming down her face, but she's also smiling. She runs up to you with her arms outstretched, and as those tears continue to flow, she hugs you and says, thank you. That's right. You don't need to fly to Brazil to see this. You don't need to come to Australia. You don't need to swim across the Atlantic to the United States. The world's greatest experience was born by the people, from the people in this room. The world's best transformation exists in this room. The world's greatest fitness journey is in this room. Next slide. The question is, will you have it? Or will you be it? Will you have it, or will you be it? It's one thing to be able to buy all the race equipment. It's one thing to be able to hire great people. It's one thing to be able to secure the best location. China's really good at that. 0.5% of the people even care. We've got 15% of your population right now own a gym membership. Let's go out there and get the other 15, 20, 30% and whack one of their membership cards in their back pocket. Let's give them somewhere at last where they belong. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.